Hey folks, welcome to VerifiedInvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. In today's video, I want to deep dive into the charts on Solana, XRP, and Ethereum to see what the charts are telling us. Are we breaking down? Are we holding support? Let's jump right in. So we're going to start off with Ethereum or ETH and take a look. Now we're going to start with no lines on the chart and try to make the technical analysis in real time here with you guys. So again, nothing pre-programmed in. You can zoom out. You can see no trend lines. We're just using a simple candlestick chart. Now, first things first, one of the things I notice here is that you've had this uptrend, higher highs, right? From here, we had the big correction, right, in early 2025, and then we made a higher high. So let's start out by putting a parallel and start a trend line right there and go to these highs. Now, again, generally you want to do it to the highest point of the candles. Obviously, you have to use a little bit of artistic tendency in addition. But one of the things that I'm seeing here, take a look at this, guys. If we drag this parallel down, we can very clearly see that you have these two highs here, and it touches this high. Then there's a parallel trend line that, look at this. You came underneath and you bubbled up but couldn't get through, broke down, came back up, broke above, and then respected that trend line from the other direction. Then you came back up. We made that high, chopped around. We tagged that level. It bounced again. So two times here on the support side, it's shown that this is an important level. And one of the keys here, folks, is when you're analyzing a trend line or a parallel, which is really just two trend lines that happen to be parallel, what you're looking for is where does the chart show that it respects it, not just from one side, but also from both sides. And that gives you credence that this is somewhat of a major level. So if we go back to the chart right here, notice what we can also do. We can actually drag this parallel back and look, it even respects it further back right here. And that's actually pretty remarkable, folks, how again, you can see all of these lows right here, then a surge up to this high, then a pullback, it breaks below, respects it from the underbelly, and then comes back, gets back above, support, and we've bounced. We're hovering just above that line. So as a technician, number one, I recognize that if price comes here, this remains support, although I have to say, the more it hits, the weaker it becomes. But right now, 3,600 is the key level to watch as a support level on ETH. If it breaks 3,600, the question becomes, where are we going to look? Like, how much lower could ETH go? And we can use our parallel to actually scope that out. Look at this, folks. This is remarkable. So what we can do now is we drag that same line lower and look at what happens. So what we notice, I mean, you pierce it here, but that's just not that big of a deal. But look, it respects it right there, right in here, and all the way. And then look, right here, it also respects it. And again, there's somewhat of a symmetry in the markets that we all have to be aware of. It is a subconscious way that the markets react. It's basically subconscious in human nature. But for some reason, we as investors abide by things. This is why the Fibonacci sequence is important to us as well as a technical trader. All right. There's just something about human nature that finds this kind of order within chaos or apparent chaos within apparent chaos. And so again, what we have now is if we break 3,600, our next downside target on ETH would be around 3,250. All right. Now, let's just say 3,250. Let's take it a step further and try to see if the parallel has more bearings, right? And what we can do is we can simply drag the parallel lower and see what the next levels are. And again, even here or even right here, I would even argue right in this vicinity, you can see that you have this low and even above. I mean, I could have shown you another one, but right here and even kind of right here, right? I mean, you were bubbling up just below it and then right over here. And again, that would bring us down even further. Now, listen, by no means am I suggesting ETH is going down to 24 or 2,500, right? But as a technician, it is of the utmost importance that I have my general guidelines, right? Now, just going back to something here, I want to show you guys this. So we go back to this level. Now, this one's an interesting one for me for a couple reasons. So number one, we can see how it respects it all along here and here. So again, if 3,600 breaks, I might nibble on a long at just around 3,300, really 32, 2 and change, really, to be fair. But even so, if we bring this down a little bit more, we can even see that this right here, right, is a new parallel that really has become important. And we can just draw those same lines in. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting this one is because this one has a second factor to it. If we look at this chart, you can see that right across here, and even going back here, we have a trend line, right? And so what we do is, and this is where you start to come up with a thesis, right? A thesis for finding an entry point. So for me, a parallel is good, but is it going to be the main reason I'm getting into a position long or short? And the answer is no. I want multiple factors, ideally 3 factors, but in the very least 2. And what we could do here is, again, we say, all right, well, look at all of these pivot points right through here. And this is obviously a great horizontal line. And this parallel here intersects right in this range. So right between, let's say, 2850 and 2750. Now, the bigger question you could also ask, is there another level to monitor here? And what I'm doing now is I'm doing my Fibonacci retrace. Okay. So the idea is I use simple tactics, right? Trend lines, parallels, which are just parallel trend lines, and Fibonacci, right? Obviously, I look for topping tails, bottoming tails, in individual candle formations, bull flags, bear flags. But I'm not using crazy, like out of this box, like, indicators, right? In other words, I'm a true believer that simple is better. And it's actually helpful because when we use too many indicators, we start to get into kind of paralysis by analysis. One indicator saying no, the other indicator saying yes, this indicator saying maybe. It's like, oh my gosh, what the heck do I do? When it's so simple to just draw trend lines. Now, going back to this completes our trifecta with 3 factors. What do I mean by that? Well, we have this trend line, right? And this is a beauty right through here, right through this area, and right through these pivot tops. So that's obviously one of importance. We then have this parallel, which is parallel to this up here, right? And so we know it has some meat and potatoes because it's parallel here, and it shows you how price came down, respected it, dipped below, then kind of went right through here before breaking up. Those two coordinate right here. Now, notice what's also there, and you almost can't see it because of that trend line. This is the 618 Fibonacci retrace. And so ultimately, listen, is there a chance that ETH doesn't come down to this level? There's a good chance it doesn't. To be fair, I don't know. But if it does, do I have 3 factors now pointing to a major opportunity for an ETH long? And the answer is yes, I do. And 3 factors in my study for 26, almost 27 years. At the start of 2026, it'll be 27 years of technical analysis study, shows me that 3 factors gets me to 75 to 80% success rate, which in my book, if I could go into a casino and play games that were 75 to 80%, you'd literally never get me out of the casino. I mean, I'd just be playing because I'd be winning, right? I mean, it's a probability game. And that's what charting is, and that's what that technical analysis essentially is, and that's what really investing is. You have to understand you're going to take losses. The question is, can you win many more times than you lose? And if you do it right, I do believe you can. All right, now let's flip over to Solana. Now, Solana, we're going to keep it much simpler here. All right. And the reason it's simpler is because, for the most part, Solana has gone up, consolidation, little kind of M top, come down, and then it's gone up, and now it's breaking here again. Now, the first things first, look at this, guys. This is about as good of a trend line as you can get. And this is why this one is so simple. We very easily simply have a trend line that we have to watch. Low pivot from April, low pivot from June, and now we've hit it 2 more times just in the last couple weeks. In other words, as long as Solana holds 175, 176, okay, it's okay. However, if it breaks and confirms here, trouble is brewing. Downside probably to 155. There's a good level. Look at this right here, right through there. So 155-ish. And if it breaks that, you're likely going to go test this low at 130. Now, if it can hold this level, the bias remains strong, but the big test will be very simply, can you rally up and eventually break through 247, right? Right now. And remember, this is a declining trend line. So it does get lower and lower. Like over here, it'd be 242. So you just have to kind of monitor these lines because again, one's ascending, one's descending. It's forming what we in technical analysis call a wedge pattern. But ultimately, can it hold? If it doesn't hold here, Solana's in trouble, right? I mean, you're at least going down to 155, I would say, possibly as low as 130 to 127. Okay, now again, if it can hold here, then it has a chance to fight all the way back up and reattack this level. Basically, if you're a trader or if you wanted to be involved in Solana, then be long Solana. That's fine. Just keep a very tight stop below 175. And when I say that, for me at least, I would use a close with confirmation, so it's not a fake out, right? You know, too many people get faked out in this world in terms of trading. Okay, going over to XRP. XRP, remarkable wedge that has basically been broken to the downside. So that's slightly problematic. Notice again, guys, you have a lot of support right in here, right? So if we look at this and we can use a little bit of a box to show a range on this, but essentially, right? I mean, this is really what you have. You have support. This was a high pivot, and then you broke above support, and then breakdown. Now, what we've seen here is that number one, look at how we rallied back, and this became resistance. That's very standard in technical analysis. Once support is broken, it is resistance. Now, it hasn't been confirmed, believe it or not. Still, it has not been confirmed, but either way, it still acts as minor resistance. Now, for XRP to regain its mojo, it needs to break through this trend line here. If it does that, it should go back to about 375 or maybe higher. And that's right now around 295. All right, so that's your upside bogey level. Before it gets there, it's going to have to fight this level here, which is between 271 and 266. And that's going to be your short-term resistance. But really, to really break out and have a big run, you got to get through this level here. All right, now on the downside here, this is something else we have to monitor because we have another major trend line that basically shows from these lows, which now becomes support. And so for me, at least, I'd be a buyer on any dip down to about 175. If that breaks and confirms, then I stop out and we start to look at what potentially could be next. I mean, down here, you have a 145, then potentially down to 111 to 110. But as of now, this is the line to beat. On the crypto crash, that was your level where it stopped going down and had the big bounce. That remains major technical support. All right. So again, this is the simplistic. The beauty of technical investing is that you don't have to overcomplicate it. Just literally let the chart talk to us. Remember, a chart is like a foreign text. Once we start learning the language, it can tell us what's the likely outcome. And that's really the best we can do. You know, can we get our odds to 75, 80%? Okay, if we can, then we trade it, right? At least that's the way I look at it in terms of stacking factors. All right, guys, as always, I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for your support, your comments, your likes. Share this with a friend or family member if they are kind of lost in the craziness of crypto right now. Again, the beauty is I'm neither a bull nor a bear. I'm simply following the charts. What are my buy levels on this crypto? What are my sell levels on this crypto? All right. And that's all you care about. I have no love for any specific crypto, no love for any specific stock or commodity. They are vehicles for me to make money and wealth for my family. All right. That's the beauty of it. And again, when people get attached to things, that's where things go awry, frankly. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. I'll keep you posted. Take care.